Thanks all of you for being here today. I'm really excited when Tracy reached out a few months ago and said, hey, do you think you might be available to make it in September? And I said without a doubt, yes, let's find a date, we're gonna make it work, and I'm thrilled to be here. So I thought I would start by sharing a little bit of my story and how I came into the Chamber and LGBT business movement, and then share a little bit around the National LGBT Chamber, some of the advocacy work that has been going on a local, state, and federal level, and then really dive deep into the certification process itself, whether it is something that you yourself are interested in getting certified, or you have other businesses that you know who might want to get certified, and then how you can maximize that certification. And I'll leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end as well. But for me, as was mentioned by Tracy, I originally live in Milwaukee now, and probably about 8 years ago or so, I noticed after graduating from college, a number of my LGBT classmates started leaving. And they started saying, I've got to go to Chicago, I've got to go to New York, I've got to go to DC. I can't be an out professional in Milwaukee. It's just not an accepting place. I didn't think that was the case, but I said, well, where do you make those business connections? How do you do that work? And somebody said, well, you can go to the gay bar for the drag show on Saturday night and exchange business cards. And I kind of laughed like, yeah, no, that's not where I'm gonna do business. So I organized at the time what was a young LGBT professionals of Milwaukee happy hour. We simply created a Facebook event and said, let's just plan an evening event and see if anybody shows up. This was back in September of 2011. We posted it. We ended up having 45 people walk through the door that we'd never met before. They were doctors, lawyers, corporate professionals, small business owners. And we said, okay, this is great. Let's try it again the next month, and let's try it again the next month, and let's try it again the next month. And about a year in, we did a focus group with those that were attending. And we said, well, what are you looking for? Why are you coming to a happy hour once a month? Because I'm fine to plan a happy hour, don't get me wrong. But is there something substantive that we could or should be doing for you? And we noticed we had kind of two separate yet similar groups. And I was not aware of the NGLCC. I didn't think of the LGBT chamber movement. But the two groups came. One said, look, we want to it was corporate folks saying, we want to promote our brand, promote our company, we want to recruit more people into the workplace, we want a diverse workforce. The flip side, we had small business owners coming saying, look, I'm trying to promote my small business, I want new customers, I want new clients. But the comment that really stood out was one business owner who turned to me and said, I've got a business plan where in about 5 to 6 years, I can double from 8 employees to 16. And I know exactly what I need to do to get there. But I can't do it in my current space. So I want to find an LGBT-owned or allied bank that does some lending, an LGBT-owned or allied realtor to find a space, a contractor to do the build-out, a marketing firm to help me kind of rebrand, and the line he used was, I want to do business with those that share my values. Where do I go? And I quickly said, oh, I'm sure there's some business directory online, let's keep going with the meeting, like we'll figure that out later. And as I started doing the research and realizing the real opportunity, there are so many great LGBT organizations out there, whether they're doing philanthropic giving in the community, whether they're doing healthcare work, but there really wasn't, in Wisconsin, an organization doing LGBT business advocacy. What are we actually doing to increase the number of LGBT business owners, to increase the number of professionals? And we understand why it matters. Because when you look at it, it's hard to see, and I don't expect to see this, but there's just a number of ways that diversity really impacts business, whether it is company productivity going down if people can't be out at work, whether it's retention, the amount of time it takes to recruit folks. There was one study that showed, that came out, and I don't know if it's on this slide or not, but from the Williams Institute a few years ago that talked about LGBT individuals were were willing to spend twice as much on a product or service if they knew the company that they were supported them. And I started looking and researching and figuring out, well, what can I do in Wisconsin to really make a difference, and how can I have a bigger impact? And that's when I learned about the NGLCC, the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce. It goes by NGLCC as an abbreviation for those that aren't familiar. When it was founded, it was the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and they abbreviated NGLCC, so you'll hear people say NGLCC all the time. But I learned about this organization, I got involved really quickly, and they really are the business voice for LGBT individuals, and I'll talk a little bit about advocacy, whether it's working with our 50 plus affiliate chambers across the country, which the Utah Chamber is one of those, whether it is working with our National Business Inclusion Consortium, where we actually bring together the U.S. Black Chamber, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber, the U.S. Pan-Asian Chamber, Disability In, and other groups to really say, how are we working together to create a larger pool for diverse-owned businesses to have opportunities. The NGLCC is also the official and exclusive certifying body for LGBT business enterprises. And I'll spend a little bit of time in a moment talking really about what that means. But as Tracy also mentioned, we hold a really big event every year. We invite you all to join us next year in Las Vegas, not too far away, the end of July. In Vegas, so put it in your calendar. I think it's the 28th to 31st of next year. But I wasn't familiar with NGLCC when we launched the chamber, and I quickly found out and got involved, and now also serve as their Director of Affiliate Relations, which is what brings me here today. And in that role, responsible for working with our 51 U.S. affiliate chambers on what can we do to really strengthen and enhance the work that they're doing to help make them even stronger than they already are. And I want to give a big shout out to Tracy and the entire board of your chamber for the tremendous work that they are doing day in and day out, and they are really committed to this cause. So I just want to thank you, Tracy, for all the work that you are doing and your board. So thank you for that. So NGLCC advocates on a number of policy areas, whether it is denouncing LGBTQ visa changes, the Master Shop cake case, whether it's getting companies to sign on to memorandums. We really try to provide the business voice for the LGBT community. So you've got HRC doing great work, you've got Out Equal doing things, you've got other groups, your Equality Federation doing things, but we really try to add a business voice to it, whether it is through positions and coalitions, whether it's through writing letters to different administration officials with our affiliate chambers on different areas, or whether it's working with Congress and the SBA. We used to have, and I say used to, have a strong relationship with the U.S. Small Business Administration, where they actually were out promoting the LGBT certification and talking about LGBT-owned businesses. And then in January of 2017, some things changed in DC, and you couldn't find LGBT listed anywhere on the U.S. Small Business Administration website. So we worked with our members of Congress to call that out and say, why isn't the federal government? We are all taxpayers at the end of the day, regardless of what political party you subscribe to. At the end of the day, you're still paying tax dollars, and the U.S. government should still help support LGBT-owned businesses. And it really has been our focus then, when it gets to a deeper policy sense, to really focus on supplier diversity. So everything that we are focused on really comes and stems from how do we be the business voice. But the real main item, the real important piece that we advocate for is around supplier diversity. And I want to define supplier diversity at the outset before we really get into it, because I think it's an important opportunity. And supplier diversity is defined as the intentional inclusion of socially and or economically disadvantaged groups in procurement opportunities. So you will often hear in state governments, for example, they will have efforts for minority-owned or women-owned or veteran-owned businesses. The NGLCC is a group that is out there advocating on both a local, state, and federal level for inclusion of LGBT business enterprises in that process. And this slide gives you, it's a little outdated actually, now we've had some success over the past few weeks in this, but this is just some of the recent successes that we have had in getting the LGBT business enterprise certification recognized. The big thing I will share with all of these, it doesn't cost these communities any money to do this. I'll repeat that, it doesn't cost them any money. So unlike some certifications where your state might have an office of small business that will certify minority or women-owned businesses, every entity that has put this into law, whether it's through executive order or through statute, specifically recognizes the NGLCC's certification as the official certification, and will work with NGLCC to make sure that the database matches, so that a local unit of government doesn't have to employ somebody, doesn't have to recertify. Where this is really important is for businesses themselves. In many communities, you might have to register with your city, your county, your state to learn about opportunities. With NGLCC, it's a one-stop shop that really helps. So we've had, our first success came in California, where their Public Utility Commission passed a bill, AB 1678, about 3 years ago, that required that businesses that do business with the California Public Utility Commission, so your energy companies, your telecom companies, anybody like that, were required to be inclusive and include LGBT certified businesses in their supply chain. That was the first one we ever got. From there, it actually went to Massachusetts, where the governor of Massachusetts signed an executive order to include not only LGBT certified businesses in the state's, in the Commonwealth supply chain, but also disabled owned and veteran owned businesses. So we go into communities to get these bills passed. While LGBT certified businesses are a priority, we're also working to make sure that we're being as inclusive as possible and adding in and working with our friends at Disability In and NAVOBA and other groups to really make sure. So since when we were at our conference in Tampa, the mayor of Tampa signed an executive order to include LGBTBEs. Long Beach has passed theirs or will be very shortly. Chicago's in progress, so we are seeing this spread. It has started on the coasts, but let me tell you, I don't think it's going to remain on the coast. I think it's one where we are going to continue to move inward as people really say, how can we be an inclusive community? How do we attract and retain the best and brightest? So we will see this continue to move. And the question I often get with it is, well, what does it matter? Why do LGBTBEs matter? And before I talk about how to become one, I think it's important to understand what the LGBTBE and the LGBT community in general has an impact on the economy. We issued a report just a few years ago looking at America's LGBT economy. And it had some really interesting findings, but what it really did was it helped change the national dialogue on LGBT-owned businesses. We were able to get coverage in Fortune and the Washington Post and Bloomberg and other places. But what it did was it talked about the impact of businesses on the community. Prior to that, all the conversations around the LGBT community when it came to economics were around consumers. It was around this community spends almost $1 trillion, that 3 out of 4 have changed brands to support a company, that they have double the amount of passports held and are more likely to travel, that 88% of gay men and 90% of lesbians reported their purchasing decisions were influenced by corporate sponsorships. Before our report came out, this is all you could hear about when it came to the LGBT community. They talked about how much money we had, or thought we had, and how we spent it. But never around what is the impact that our community is actually having on creating jobs, on being sustainable. So we issued our report, and it found that if you estimated all LGBT-owned businesses in America, their contribution to the economy exceeds $1.7 trillion. 1.7 trillion. If you look at it, it shows the average revenue for an LGBT owned business is about 2.4 million. That the national estimate, I can't read that from here, total earnings was 2.6 billion. So it's a tremendous impact, and there is a range. We have LGBT owned businesses that you'll see here in every industry, in every sector, at every size. We have some who are sole proprietors who maybe do it as a side hustle and are a certified business because they work in corporate America, but they say, hey, I do this project on the side. I want to get certified because I want it to count. But it really is in every industry, whether it is legal, whether it is media, events, marketing, professional services, construction, consulting. They estimate that it's 33,000 jobs that are created just by certified businesses. Right now, NGLCC has just over 1,100 certified LGBTBEs in the country. Just over 1,100 certified LGBTBEs. Those 1,100 are creating 33,000 jobs in our economy. The average age of an LGBT business by years is 12 years old. 12 years for an average LGBT BE. The oldest actually was founded in 1928. Now, you think 12 years, and the studies, range, but a typical small business that gets started lasts 3 to 4 years or so. LGBT BEs are averaging 12, which is a tremendously large impact, because I think we are a community that we are driven, we are dedicated, and we want to see success. The comment, though, that really sets up where I want to talk about certification came from one of our certified BEs in this report. And she said, the NGLCC certification creates visibility for LGBT businesses. Visibility creates awareness. Awareness leads to acceptance. And widespread acceptance ends discrimination. You can't change hearts, minds, and attitudes if you're invisible. And that's really what the LGBTQE certification is all about. It may not be about getting a contract tomorrow. You may never get a contract, and you may never want to get a contract by being certified. It is about raising the visibility of our LGBT business community. When we create that, when we stand out, when we raise our flag, and I'm going to share a story in a moment about one of my certified BEs in Wisconsin. When we raise our flag just a little bit higher, and a little bit higher, it changes that dialogue. It changes people's perceptions. And we know that generationally, views of the LGBT community are changing, but we're still not to full lived equality. We may have marriage equality. You may, in some states, in about half the states in the country, be protected on sexual orientation or gender identity, but not everywhere. But there is not full economic equality yet. And the only way that we can get there is if we work together to enhance and raise our visibility. So it gets to the question of, how do I get certified? And some of you in the room may be eligible for certification, some of you may not, and that's okay. But I am sure that you know somebody who could be eligible for certification, or you can talk to somebody about it, or you can just be an advocate for saying why this matters for the community. NGLCC is the exclusive third body certification for LGBT-owned businesses. We modeled this certification actually after the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council and the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. So we really work to make sure that we are following industry best practices, and I will tell you, I was talking to some folks earlier about what's the next innovation of supplier diversity, because it's been around for a long time and has been kind of stagnant. And all of the national corporations and all of these other certifying bodies are turning to NGLCC and saying, well, what's next? You guys have always been the innovator. You guys have always been driving things to the next level. So we're consistently looking at how can we make sure that we are thinking bigger and bolder and really supporting the community. The certification is available to for-profit businesses that are at least 51% owned and operated by LGBT persons. We've got an entire team at the national office. I love my role in getting to work with our affiliates and make the connections and help them grow. We've got a specific team led by Alicia Green with a few associates there who really work hand in hand to make sure that we are supporting our businesses from start to finish, but not once you get done with the application. They are there for you every step of the way afterwards to really maximize that certification as well. I've got cards here that I will share for them as well, for those that want it. But it truly is a team. So as I go through this presentation, if there's a question that we don't get answered, or there's something that comes up that I don't know, this team right here is the one that will help you to the answer. They will work with you if you're having problems with the application process. If once you get certified, you don't know what to do, we've got this full-time team of 4 ready and willing to assist all of our certified BEs. They really, are your connection to everything that goes on. They conduct monthly webinars. They work with our BEs to leverage your certification. They will work to try to identify opportunities for you, and then most importantly, help you through the process. This is not something you have to go it alone. Our local chambers are great in helping, but we have a national resource that wants to be there. So the eligibility, I mentioned this at the beginning. So you must be at least 51% LGBT owned and operated. You must be a U.S. citizen or proof of permanent residency. You must be a legal for-profit entity in the U.S. So you've got to be registered in some way, and you have to exercise independence from any non-LGBT business enterprise. So number 4 in particular, I like to touch on because people ask me, what does that mean? What you can't do is you can't work for a company and they say, hey, why don't you create your own little LLC here, and you're really going to work for us, but we're going to go through your business and then you're just going to pay us back. Because it's somebody else making the decisions for you. It's got to be, you have to be making the decisions for yourself. Otherwise, it is somebody trying to use you as an LGBT person and trying to use you. So, the steps of certification. The first is you'll want to complete a business profile on mynglcc.org. I also want to flag really quickly on this that the certification fee, people ask what the fee is. If you belong to your local chamber, so if you belong to the Utah LGBTQ chamber, there is absolutely no fee to get certified. Woohoo! Which is great, no fee. If you don't belong to the chamber, you have to go pay like $450. So this is for those of you that are eligible for certification. Here's a huge member benefit that you're getting just by belonging to the chamber. So certification, we say certification is national because it applies all over the country. But your membership is local, so we want you to be a member of your local chamber. So you'll go to NGLCC.org and complete the business profile. It'll open up here on the screen. You'll want to click in the purple section where it has the LGBT business enterprises and start signing up. It will lead you through a system here where you create a business profile. It includes everything from updating, putting your logo, your company name, your legal status, any kind of just basic kind of business profile information for yourself.
You do have a clicker on that, a laser pointer.
Oh, great, thank you.
On the bottom.
Thank you. So then you upload your supporting documents, and this is a question that I often get is, okay, how long is this gonna take me? I had a business that, let me show you some supporting documents here.
Yeah.
So it's everything from a brief history of your business to, in this form, based on how it's structured, their 1040 Schedule C, a resume and a bio. You upload a bunch of files. Questions I get from folks is saying, well, I don't have that. Maybe I have a new business and I haven't done the tax return yet. Is that okay? Absolutely. What you should do is upload just a Word document that says, hey, I'm a new business that hasn't had to file this yet. And the national team will come back and say, okay, let's work with you, let's figure out what we can do to prove this. All of these documents, everything that you're gonna upload here, all of these are confidential and proprietary. Your local chamber won't ever see them, I'll never see them, other businesses will never see them. The only folks that will see these are the 4 individuals I referenced earlier on the certification team who will walk you through every step of the way, as well as there is a certifying body, which is the step 4. So we'll talk about that, but this is all confidential. Don't ever worry when you have to upload documents, especially financial documents or articles of incorporation for your business. It isn't something that your local chamber will see. Not that your local chamber will do anything wrong with it, but we want you to feel safe and secure with where your information is going with this. One of the interesting ones that you have to upload is what's called your LGBT status qualifier. What is your LGBT status qualifier? It's how you prove you're gay. You actually have to prove you're gay in this process. So this is where you actually get to say, I have a gay card, and pull it out. There are a number of different ways. So this list we have, it was called List A, and we'll share this around, or List B. These are the different ways that you can prove that you are gay. I kid you not. And this is modeled after some best practices and industry standards on this. And everything from, you can have a letter under List A, you need one of these items on List A, just one. It includes a letter from your local affiliate chamber board president certifying that you are a member of the community. So Tracy can send a letter that could be your supporting document in for that. That is acceptable. It could be everything from domestic partner registrations, marriage certificates, birth certificate with gender marker, court order name change, different legal documents, a whole variety of tax returns filed jointly by two individuals of the same gender, a number of them. On list B, you either can do one from list A or two from list B. And list B has a few more things, including maybe an apartment lease, or utility bills with the name of an applicant and partner or spouse listed, proof of joint property ownership, major loans, national or local media articles denoting LGBT status, a physician or attorney letter on official letterhead, a variety of ways. Do not let all of these things scare you though. It is a simple process. I know it seems awkward to have to do this, but it's the one way that we can ensure that it isn't people trying to take advantage of a system, that we want to prove that it's LGBT individuals who are getting certified. We've never had an issue with it, but it's because we run what many of the corporate partners consider one of the gold standards in the actual certification process. So don't let it worry you in that. Once you've uploaded all your documents and the national team reviews them quickly, they'll reach out and say, you're ready for what's called a site visit. A site visit is handled by, I don't know, Tracy, are you certified as a site visitor?
No, but we just emailed someone. Are you?
Michael's certified as a site visitor, so in local chambers, there's usually a board member or two, or there's a staff person, or other certified businesses that may be certified. And the site visit, what it is you go on site, the site visitor has a page of maybe 7 pages of questions, everything from, how did you start the business? What made you apply for certification? To tell me who makes decisions on hiring and firing, just to get to know that business a little better. First, it verifies the information on the application. It ensures the integrity of the certification process. For local chambers, they provide that one-on-one contact with members and get to build relationships. I have actually found locally with my members, those that join right away and get certified quickly, I may not have met before. I had one that joined and joined our chamber because he wanted to get certified, learned that if he joined our chamber, he saved $400 on the national level, so joined us. Our first interaction was when I went to do the site visit, but it built a relationship there for us. It also uncovers any inaccuracies or mistakes in the application. I will take a step back and say, one of the reasons this is really modeled after WeBank, which is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. They found or believed that men were putting wives down as a primary business owner, so that a woman would be a 51% owner of a business, while the husband would actually be making all of the decisions, would know how the company operated, and they would be eligible for contracts and opportunities because it was a woman-owned certified business. So we do the site visit to just ensure, based on their best practice, that it is a legitimate person running a legitimate business, and it keeps that gold standard of certification as high as it can be. It's not a scary process. My site visits, when I do them, take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, usually. If you work from a home office, we'll meet in a coffee shop somewhere and do it. If you have an actual office or factory, we come there and we ask for a little tour, just to show some of the equipment, which is also a fun excuse to go out and get to visit other businesses and see their places of operation and what they are up to. So that third step is the site visit. Once that is done, there is a review by the National Certification Committee. So the National Certification Committee is made up of industry professionals in the supplier diversity space. We've got a local affiliate chamber leader who's an attorney out of Pittsburgh, for example, is one of the certification committee members. They meet once a month in DC and review the application of a business that has applied for certification from top to bottom. So they will go over and review everything. They'll look at the report from the site visitor and the recommendation from there. They'll look at all the documents, and typically they will approve it without question. If they may come back and say, hey, I need this. So one example sometimes has been those that maybe a franchise. of a larger business. They're still independent, they make their own decisions, but they may ask for a couple additional documents. So I have a company that gets certified, Kilwin's Chocolates. They had a branch in Milwaukee. They were obviously a franchise, but they were independent. They had to buy their own equipment, they have to buy the rights to everything. They make all the hiring and firing decisions, so by sharing the franchise agreement, they really get certified. But the certification committee came back and said, hey, we just need to see this one more document just to prove and just to verify that it's a legitimate business. Once that is done, you receive this, nifty little certificate that you get to hang on your wall saying you're certified LGBTQ. It will come with it a certification number and an expiration date. Certification is a 2-year certification. It's valid for 2 years from when you get it. And where the certificate number is really important. The certificate itself, you may use, you may put it up in your office, you may post it on your website.
Fridge.
But the number is what matters, because as you're engaging with potential corporate partners, they will ask you, are you certified? You'll say yes. Who's your certifying body? The National LGBT Chamber. What's your certificate number? And that's how they will look at it as you're going through the process. They may ask you to upload this certificate. More often, they just want to know what the certificate number that you have is. So that walks you through the start to finish of the 4 steps. But then I often get the question of, okay, well, I'm certified, now what do I have to do? And you don't have to do anything, but there's lots of best practices that we can give that we think will really help support our certified BEs and open up opportunities for them. Once you get certified, you get that certificate. You also get a welcome letter. You also get a few different logos that you can use. We encourage you to use these logos if you want to on your website, on the footer of your email, on promotional materials and products that you may put out. We encourage you as you want to use it. We also send out a toolkit that comes with it that has everything from a press release that you can send out, say a press release with quotes from our national president and CEOs that you can use, to other best practices, marketing, things like that. So we encourage you to use it. I will say though, I had a business, and I was talking to someone about this earlier, who got certified about 4 years ago in Milwaukee, and he is an accountant. And he was with a partner for 15, 20 years. People knew he was gay, but he was really worried about his clients finding out, and would that cost him clients? So he said, I got certified, and I waited a year or 2 before I told anybody that I got certified. I just, kind of had it in my back pocket. I was just doing it more because basically I asked him to. I said, we need you to do this. And then he said, about a year ago, I put, the emails, I put this in my email signature. Just kind of small, on his website first. Put it on my website about a year ago. Want to see if anybody said anything. Nobody said anything. I then put it on my email signature about 6 months ago. And nobody said anything. And I didn't lose a single client during that process. He said, in fact, I gained a few people who said, oh, we saw this. We want to talk to you about this. But it required him to raise his flag a little more every time. And he actually received we did a business awards in Milwaukee on Wednesday, and he was our Business Leader of the Year award. And he stood up and said it was about raising the flag a little bit. He was scared at first because for him it was having it come out all over again as a business owner. Each and every time he would talk to a client, each and every time he would do something. So I share that it is a coming out process when you do this, each and every time. And it's okay. And it is one when you get certified that you don't have to go run with it and blast it all over. If you want to, great, we don't discourage it. But if you want to take your time and you want to think about it, and you want to get certified because you know it has value for you and your business, let's start there. Whether you promote it actively, whether the chamber helps you push it out there, that's the next step. But it doesn't have to be all at once. You can be raising your flag slowly, a little bit here, a little bit there, and keep it going. So that's the first step once you get certified, is making sure that you're using the tools that we're providing. We also have, I didn't know they put animation in this. They have my NGLCC.org where you were earlier. Wow, fancy. So here's where you went to sign up as an LGBT-owned business. Corporate partners are also able to get in on the back end as well. What I will share with you is the only corporate partners that are able to get access to anything are corporate partners of the NGLCC. Usually it's their supplier diversity folks. Once you have access and are certified, you'll already have access and you'll want to come back and sign in. I encourage businesses to come back once you get certified on a somewhat regular basis. You're going to want to go and you're going to want to check out your business profile. You're going to want to make sure it's up to date. Make sure if you changed your phone number, for example, or you moved addresses, or you can do different keywords throughout this. You want to make sure that your business profile is as up to date as possible. You'll want to add in as many codes and awards and anything you can get to fill out about your company. And the reason for that is twofold. Let's see here. The first is corporate partners are able to go in, you're able to go in and search for corporate partners that you think you may want to do business with. On the flip side, you can also go in and search for other certified LGBTQs that you yourself may want to do business with, or our corporate partners are going to go in and are going to say, hey, I'm looking for somebody in this industry. Who can I find that does who does board consulting? Who does merger and acquisition, or who does real estate, or who does promotional products? So our corporate partners will go in and want to make sure that they're searching. So your business profile itself wants to have as much information as possible. So when those corporate partners, or when the NGLCC team comes and says, here's all the businesses that are eligible for this contract or opportunity you're putting out, that you're not looked over in that process. So we really encourage you to have as complete a profile as possible. You're also able to go in and see in this other corporations. So here's just one we pulled, Kimberly-Clark Corporation, and you can go in and you can actually see the contact information for their procurement manager for North America. So you as a certified PE are able to get in and find the right information and start building relationships with those at businesses and corporations you may want to do business with. What I will say as a precursor to that, don't go and think you're going to target all 500 corporate partners and you're going to send them all notes and they're all going to respond. No. But it's not bad to do an introduction. Identify maybe the top 3 businesses that you know your company can match, and reach out and ask to set up maybe a phone conversation. Maybe ask to be engaged. They may not get a response. One of my corporate partners, actually most of my corporate partners that I work with, for the chamber side, there's only 1 or 2 people in supplier diversity for the entire company. So as you're doing this, they may be overwhelmed with hundreds of people reaching out every day. So they may not get back to you. They may. It is about a long-term relationship though. So it's where we encourage you to come to conference. There's a matchmaker portion where you can meet corporate partners. There's walk-in talks. We encourage the local chamber to find ways to bring corporate partners and the local supplier diversity folks out to make connections on a local level. The other piece, and you can see it here that I just share, is this is North American procurement. Many companies have not only the supplier diversity side, but also the procurement individual. The supplier diversity professional is when advocating to make sure that the company is being as inclusive as possible and saying, hey, procurement side, and procurement's the one actually making the financial decision of where we're buying from. Sometimes they're one and the same, sometimes they're separate. So you'll want to make sure that you're reaching out and engaging. Some of the corporations will reply back and say, we want you to fill out our portal. And portals can be the death of any certified business. But it's one way to make sure that you're learning about different opportunities from businesses. And in the portal, each company, there's a couple standard companies out there. Connexus is one of them. Cvent is another, where they have Miller Coors and Harley Davidsons and other major companies, Wells Fargo's, US Banks. may have a similar platform, so when you create your profile in one, you can add it to others. Again, profiles can be the death of a business, but this is one way that when they have an opportunity that comes out, that they're able to send it to those that are interested in doing business with them. I shared here just an example of just a few of the different
Just a few.
corporate partners that are including LGBT-owned businesses in their supply chain and are actively reaching out on a regular basis. One of the biggest things that I think we will see change over the next few years is with the Human Rights Campaign. How many are familiar with the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index? So the Corporate Equality Index is what ranks companies, whether they have certain benefits, policies in place. This last year, for the first time, the Human Rights Campaign required that businesses that have a supplier diversity program have to include LGBT business enterprises in that supply chain, in that supplier diversity program, if they want to get a perfect 100.
Yay.
Which was great. Doesn't mean they have to do business or have a contract, but they have to be inclusive. If you don't have it, if the company does not have a supplier diversity program, they don't have to do anything. They don't get dinged right now. Eventually, I think they will get hurt, but they have to have it. And eventually, I think they will have to have a standard rate or a standard, you have to have contracting opportunities with LGBT businesses. But these core partners are all looking at it and all trying to find what's that business. I will say that I have heard from some of them who, you may be a perfect fit for what they do, but they may put a contract out for bid once every 3 years for a 3-year contract. And if you just miss it, you might have to wait. And that happens. Certification is not what is going to get it. I had a business once that got certified and said, well, I'm certified, where's my corporate contract? Are they just gonna give it to me? And I said, no, you have to work for it. And many businesses, it takes 2, 3, 4 years. Partly because these corporations are not just doing one-offs, they're doing larger contracts. But I'm gonna share in just a moment where you can actually get those contracting opportunities. So, corporate partners reach out to NGLCC all the time with opportunities and will send us information on events that they are doing. They have, Toyota does their own matchmaker event. Others will send certified businesses to the Wharton School of Business or to Tufts. We work to match RFPs to relevant BEs and really are trying to be as engaged and alert you of opportunities when they come up. So we are working, we have an engagement center. Devin, who runs that department, is remarkable, and he's really focused, once you get certified, really talking to you, getting to know you, so that when a company reaches out and says, hey, in a couple months we're gonna put out a bid for janitorial services, do you have a company that might be ready to do that? And Devin's been able to put people together and say, yes, here's who you need to talk to, or they've been able to say, oh, they're not quite there yet. What kind of programming and support can we as a team give them to help them identify the skills that they need to go? But the question I often get is, I don't know that I ever want or will get a corporate contract, which is common. I have several businesses that got certified because for them it was a branding opportunity. Some people will get certified because they can go and say, I'm the only certified LGBTE attorney in our market. And whether or not you're gonna get a contract from that, they didn't care. But for them, it was an opportunity to raise their flag and to be visible. For others though, there is the desire to get contracts. It's not just about branding and raising that visibility. I like to always remind people of the different tiers that comes with contracting. So you've got your corporation up at the top who is interested in going to put something out. Most often, our certified BEs are not gonna get that tier 1 main contract. What they're gonna get are the tier 2 contracts. And that matters because companies are paying attention now, not only to the tier 1 spend, but they are asking their suppliers to report on who their suppliers are and are accounting that for. So an example, you may be this one here on this chart. We're gonna say you're Wells Fargo today. And Wells Fargo has a contract that they're putting out for maybe it's $1 million. And they're gonna hire a large marketing firm to do that. Maybe it's a certified LGBT BE that's gonna get that has that capability, has that scale, and is able to execute on them. But what matters to that marketing firm, what matters to Wells Fargo, is, okay, who is this marketing team going to contract with? Or maybe they need an independent graphic designer to do some work. Maybe they need a printer. Maybe the marketing firm says, we're going to have to produce some promotional materials. Who can our promotional item supplier be? So as this company spends money to deliver to this company, the money's filtering down. You'll see it often. I've heard of businesses who may get a large contract and say, okay, well, we need a new space. So where's that LGBT realtor that I can spend with? Maybe I need an LGBT landscaping company now because it's a much bigger office, or a janitorial company. Or maybe I need a whole new website. How do I as a company do that? And corporations are tracking this on a regular basis. They are not looking at just how much they are spending directly, but they are looking at how much their spend is filtering down into the economy as well. So often, as certified BEs, your primary market may never be the corporate partner. You as a certified business may never think you're gonna get a contract from Wells Fargo, Miller Coors, US Bank, but you're gonna get a contract from some other company in town that's maybe a little smaller that is doing business for them. So I always like to share this with folks because so many of the opportunities people think are gonna be that big corporate one. If that's the only reason you're doing this, it may not be the right fit. If you're doing this because you wanna have an impact along the way and work with others, great. And this is where chambers really matter. This is why the chamber movement matters, because it is a chamber like this that is connecting all of these tier 2 together, and oftentimes with the tier 1, and are building those relationships now. So that as opportunities come out, you can say, oh, I know that business over here, they're certified, let's work together. Maybe you can put a joint venture together to go after a contract. But it's about working together collectively. We really view this as how can we increase the size of the pie? How do we get more opportunities for LGBT-owned businesses? And this is how we do it, by working together. So I get the question then, what's next? What do you do? Well, it doesn't stop today, and there's a few things I would encourage you to do. One, if you're eligible, get certified as an LGBT BE and encourage others to get certified. There is strength in numbers. The more you have, the more others will say, well, why aren't I? That will help not only in advocacy, but that will help grow your chamber, it will help grow your chamber membership. I encourage you to serve as a site visitor for NGLCC. As you're growing the number of certified BEs, you're gonna need more folks who are gonna go out and help make sure that we're doing things right. Advocate for the inclusion of LGBT BEs. We've got an entire policy team that can work with you and say at a city or county level, how do we ensure that LGBT BEs are counted? They're doing minority, they're doing women, they're doing veteran. How do we make sure that LGBT BEs are also counted and included? Work with the chamber to help provide programming and support around certification. So if this is a passion for you, reach out to the chamber. Maybe there's a committee you can join. Maybe there's programming that you can volunteer and step up and do. But the most important thing that I think is be a champion and cheerleader for the LGBT certification and the LGBT business movement. That quote, and I'm just gonna reread it because to me it's that one that still sinks in of why this all matters, and it's, while the certification creates visibility for LGBT businesses, that visibility creates awareness, that awareness leads to acceptance, and widespread acceptance and discriminations. You can't change hearts, minds, and attitudes if you're invisible. So with all of your help, we're hoping that you will be our champions and be our cheerleaders, support the work of the chamber, and really help make sure we're promoting and pushing the LGBT community forward. We know that when we do that, we can have tremendous success, not only here in Utah, but across the entire mountain region and across the entire country, and really work to change hearts, minds, and attitudes. So thank you so much. We'll open up for questions if we have time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about the site visits. Because I'm a very pragmatic person, do you have a Salt Lake contingent that does that, or are you going to fly out each and every time?
Michael right here does it.
Michael.
I gotta meet you.
I think there's only 2 in Utah right now, but I'm one of them.
2 site visitors at the moment?
Yeah.
I don't know that I can pass that test.
Maybe he wants a different one.
It is not hard to be a site visitor. We do a quick training for those that want to. We encourage please work through Tracy and Michael, and they can connect you with the team if that is something of interest to you. It helps because, especially with an all-volunteer run chamber, adding one more thing on to a plate is a lot. So if you're willing to step up and help out occasionally as a business gets it, I would say that is one thing around certification. People do ask, how long does it take from start to finish? My average answer is it depends on how organized you as a business owner are. So if you have all of your documents in a row, can find your articles of incorporation, your things, it's gonna go pretty quick. If you have things scattered all over and can't find anything, it might take you a little longer. But on average,
I will tell you though that your articles of incorporation are filed with the state, and you can actually pull them back down from there too. So
Good.
that's where I got mine.
yeah. But on average, it's 30 to 60 days is what I normally see from start to finish. We move really quickly with it. The biggest hang up is often around the site visitor portion, is how quickly can we get a site visit scheduled with somebody, especially with business owners who are busy running a business. That's the biggest hang up, is we see folks who may take an extra 3 to 4 weeks just to get that scheduled. Other questions I can answer?
I have a question. How many BEs do we have in Utah?
How many BEs do you
That was
have?
a
in
trick
Utah?
question.
How many do you have?
3.
You have 3 BEs in Utah.
Yeah.
How many of you here are eligible to get certified and are not certified at the moment? Okay.
There you go.
So we should have like 10 by, next month.
Oh, no.
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 You should have 5 by next month. You gotta set goals, so you can have 2 more. You've got 3,
Can you
get 2
say
more.
by the end of the year?
End of the year. I guess this is already, it's October next week already. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Any other questions I can answer? Yeah.
This question is going to expose my ignorance of business practice. But are there any certified BEs who, say, also do some community work, donate their services to the community, who actually fund that by writing grants, and does being certified give them any advantage in securing grants?
No, I would say because all of our BEs to be BE, you have to be a for-profit entity.
I
So
understand.
likely wouldn't be eligible for grants,
In
but
addition to their for-profit business,
Mhm.
they also do some community service work that they fund through grant.
I don't know of any that do that. I know of certified BEs who donate services back to like a chamber. So we have a BE that is donating some corporate calls back to us. They're a B2B sales firm that will donate their time. But it's just because they are successful in business and want to give back to the community, but I don't know of any that get any grants to do it. So, yeah.
So this was a little bit different, but do you guys as an organization feel a responsibility to our community to continue to educate? Because obviously, like, we as a community, we're growing, we have like better understanding of sexualities and gender identities more than ever now. Do you guys ever do workshops or like mixers to continue the education of our members to make sure that we are safe within our communities?
Yeah, so what we really work to do on a national level is work with our local affiliates. Our 51 affiliates across the country are all really strong and are working to promote what they're doing, giving them the tools, resources, so that they can be successful and do that work on a local level. We let them decide what is best for their community, knowing there are different needs. So what works best in Seattle doesn't work best in Miami, doesn't work best in Dallas. So we leave it up to the local markets, but are always trying to provide those tools and resources and connection points. So actually tomorrow, I'm flying out this afternoon to Albuquerque tomorrow. We have a chamber leadership development program that we're doing with all the other diverse chambers for local chamber leaders to learn best practices and skills so that they can build together to take back to their communities to do that education to be successful that way. You're welcome. Well, thank you for letting me spend an hour talking to you today. Hopefully it was helpful and you learned something. I'll be around for a little bit if you have additional questions, but thank you for what you're doing. Have a great rest of your summit.